All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thanks for joining us for another round of ONYX webinars. Today we do what I call the ONYX dance-off, and I'm going to bring in my friend Florimond here, who is hiding behind his logo. Florimond joins us from Paris in France. Should have to see where he is at. Who should be here any second? He was here a second ago. Anyway, so quick idea of what we're going to do today. We're going to first of all introduce Florimond. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself. We will then look at his way of programming ONYX, how he lays out his show file, patch, groups, presets. He does a lot of MIDI controls, so he's going to show you how he arranges his MIDI items. And he's going to also show you a little bit about the club that he's working on at the moment. So let's see where he's at. There you are.
Yeah. Is it working? Can you guys see me, hear me? Hi, everybody.
There we are. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, for us it's like 7.
Good evening where you are there.
Exactly. But for my lifestyle, it's good morning. I just woke up like 3 hours ago.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming along for this ONYX webinar. That's great. A lot of people asked specifically for you to to do one of these. So we've done the ONYX Advanced, that was just me talking and showing stuff, and then we've been doing some more focused webinars for different topics. We did like the movie film, which I thought was really interesting, which is very different. I've done one on busking. We did the church and house of worship 2 weeks ago. I was off last week, took a week off, which is nice. And yeah, this week we're back. We're gonna have a little dance off. We'll see if anybody is dancing here. So maybe you start by introducing yourself. Who are you? What do you do? Where are you from?
Hi guys. So my name is Florimond Zipper, aka ZYPER. I'm half French, half German, based in Paris right now for 7 years now. And my whole cursus started as a DJ, like a lot of people, trying to bring my passion for music live to entertain people. And I make like some special DJ studies, like really entertainment studies about how to entertain people in a nightclub, on a wedding, on a birthday party, like taking 10 people together and make them having fun with some music, some lighting, some visuals effects, how to speak into a microphone and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, those studies bring me to use and try a lot of different things, not only DJing with like turntables and music, but also trying to bring lights and video and how I can act on stage, how I can speak into a microphone, how I can promote myself, and finally how I can step into the business and into the professional world. I had a very good result for my studies, and that opened me a lot of doors. And I think the most exciting one was to move to Paris, because I was growing up in a very small village, and joined the team of Queen Club, who was like one of the top nightclubs in France. And they were located on the famous Champs-Élysées. It was the only nightclub on the Champs-Élysées, open 7 days a week, with a different concept every night, and so a different music style every night. And we first got in touch to join them as a DJ entertainer, and finally we came out like, why should I put myself into a DJ position when back in, like, it was 10 years ago, we had a lot of DJs, but we were really struggling finding someone who's dynamic, energetic, and innovative with the whole lighting system, because we had a huge lighting system and the old P40 LED screens. And so I put myself on that part. I completely stopped the DJ stuff and focused a lot in learning lighting desk and how we could bring lights and visual entertainment into a nightclub. What's the the best to it. And what was really interesting is I had no knowledge at all about lighting, about lighting desk, about concerts. I had no background, no ideas, nothing. I'm a personal big fan of the huge hardcore festival in the Netherlands, where you can see like tons of lights and laser and everything. And I'm a huge fan of music, electronic music and underground music. So when I close my eyes on the track, I can see a lot of stuff going on. And that's exactly what I try to make with my lighting show. So instead of learning a lighting desk and making it like everybody's doing, I take it from the other side. I take it like I want this kind of effects with my lights, and how can I go to this point? How can I use my lighting desk to make this result on the lighting show? And it was really funny because the first people the first professional from lighting where I get in touch, we had some training sessions together, and they learned me like, okay, so this is the patch and you can patch a fixture. And I was like, nah, I want everything strobing like 100%. How can I do that? And the trainer told me like, nah, Zipper, that's not how it works. We don't want to do that. So the patch. And I was just like, okay, I want to press that so many buttons so fast, and I want them to make it everything flash and be dynamic. And my trainer was trying to learn me really like the basic way of lighting, so how you make an effects and everything. And so I have a complete different way of working, because I've learned a technical part of the desk, how the desk is working and what the desk is able to do. But once I get that, all the rest is learning by myself and trying things. And Queen was very good for that, as I was working 5 to 6 nights a week. And I had disco music, hip hop music, more pop songs, and some very deep underground techno and electronic house music nights. And in the same times, I was super lucky. My first weekend at Queen, I was playing with Armin van Buuren, #1 DJ in the world, and we had like every weekend some top DJs coming. And that was a real challenge every week when I had like this super huge DJ coming in. I just wanted him to impress him. And my goal was that at the end of the show, the guys just come to me and give me like a high five and just tell me like, bro, your lights were so amazing. And I just see this here and all the other clubs where I travel around the world. I don't see that. So that's how I started. That's how I came into that lighting world. And I think a lot of people learned to know me there because I was doing some tutorials to share about my workflow, about my programming and everything. And I was really connected between lighting and visuals and the music, because all that for me is just one. I'm not just a lighting operator. I'm not a VJ. I'm not a content creator. I'm just like everything together. And my main focus is just the show and what we can do all together. Even myself, the lights, the visuals, the music, the crowd, the venue, how we can make all that fit together to give the crowd the best experience possible.
What do you tend to call yourself? Like, are you a visual?
I call myself an audiovisual artist. It's pretty easy, but basically that's what we're doing. And I think that that's what nowadays the people want. Like, we see so many DJs, no more really DJing, and DJing is becoming easier. Lighting is becoming easier. So I think we have to evolve with it too.
Pulled up a little video from you on your YouTube channel, and I kind of want to show people really quick like how you work. You know, that's how I got to know you, actually, seeing these videos, and I said I have to meet this guy in Paris. And you know, people that don't know the work that Florimond did led to this, actually. So this is actually original Martin and Touch. And his style of operating and the way he interacted with, like, you know, MIDI controls kind of inspired this device, actually, that we.
I actually have this one.
You have a play, yeah.
It's an play. That's my favorite one.
Keep it safe.
I keep it super safe because I know it's becoming raw. It's like,
it's interesting, yeah. The Touch always was a much more popular product than the Play, which surprised me, actually, and also Paul that I worked with back then. Like, we actually expected the Play to be more popular as an.
Yeah.
But
I remember our first
Workout.
meeting when you showed me like the first plans, and I was telling you directly like I want to play. I want like fader in one hand and buttons in the other hand. And you told me like, yeah, that's the idea, but let's first do something a bit more conventional with some programming spots and everything. And I was like, just like, why? I want just to play. And finally, yeah, like you said, like the play when it came out, people wasn't that much excited about it. When I just love it.
It is a bit odd.
Yeah. So you wanted to show the video, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna put like a little video up here.
Yeah, let's bring in the
that's
video.
the Juicy M. That's just like, it's a while ago. It's from 2014, but I think it shows the way you work.
Exactly.
So I don't think it has really.
I had more hairs, but it's me.
We both did. Oh,
That's not a good one.
that's a different one. It's not a good one?
No, it's with Juicy M. Should be somewhere just a bit if you look down.
Yeah.
I'll just type.
Here it is.
That's one. With my friend Juicy M.
You can really see that you're gonna enjoy yourself here. There you go.
It was so much fun. I was looking so young.
Maybe you can explain a little bit what you're actually operating there.
So I have the old Max's modules with some faders and some buttons, and to push me closer to the DJ and have a better connection with him, I'm just using MIDI controllers. So I have like one iPad for all the faders, and then I have my MIDI fader. And I have one launchpad to put some extra programs such as CO2 and that kind of stuff.
You have an ONYX there running on the iPad there too, right?
Yeah, Touch IC. So I could like put my fader the way I want them, as high as I wanted them. So I can also use my 5 fingers to control like 5 or 2 faders, because that's way harder on the hardware. And then the MIDI fader gave me the ability to just have the lights control in my hand and move and act on stage, because I was trained as an entertainer, and DJing is not just pushing music, it's also entertain with people, interact with them, give them a smile and dance. And so that's what I try to do. And Juicy is like the perfect partner for that, because she's super entertaining too. She's super dynamic. She gives a lot of energy to the crowd. And we really, really love together. And even if we don't know each other, when she comes in and she plays her first song, we get such a strong connection. And that's exactly what I was talking about a bit earlier, like the music, the lights, and the crowd. And we try to connect everything together and bring as much power into it.
Yeah, I've really always enjoyed seeing how much you're actually part of this. Whereas I see a lot of people just sort of push a button and then flirt around a bit and have a drink. And you're like, you don't have time to actually have a drink and float around. You actually you're playing it like an instrument. That's really something I really enjoyed seeing.
That was really the idea. I was playing 6 shows a night, 8 hours per night, and I'm changing the style and the DJs all the time. So it's like really live. And what I try to do is like a piano where you play live, have everything you need under your hands, but everything also accessible as fast as possible. So if I have something in my head, I just need to push a button and it happens live. And that's why I moved to the iPad, which is much more compact, and I can have all the faders I want. And I use the MIDI fader because the buttons are so soft, I can so quickly get to the button I want. And nowadays, I completely remove the iPad from my workflow, and I do all this fader stuff with the M-Play. And that's great. Yeah, here you can see how much the connection gets strong with the DJ. We are really playing one show all together. And yeah, back in the days, it was very, very special, as usually the light operator until today, they are just hidden in a room or on the other side of the place, and
But
nobody
the
gives
setup was
attention to them.
nicer that you're actually next to each other. In a lot of clubs, that's not the case.
Yeah.
You like, you know, the lighting booth and it's like together with a pro audio desk, like just totally somewhere else, and it's, you know, DJ is up front.
Yeah.
You're hiding.
That was really the idea. I had like a very, very special boss for this club. He had this club since like 25 years. He was working with David Guetta back in the early 90s. He was artistic director in the club. And he was very extreme into clubbing. And his main focus was clubbing. And when we started working together, he told me like, okay, Zipper, I don't want DJs to be superstar. DJs are just playing music. So if we put the DJ so much into the spotlight, everybody who makes the show of the club needs to be in the spotlight. So we're going to put you next to the DJ, and I want you to be in your head like a DJ, but you're playing with all the lights and the visuals and everything. So he really had this vision. And still today, a lot of clubs where we are going, like it doesn't work like that. And it's like, it brings so much more to a nightclub to have like many people having fun together than having one DJ alone and having another guy doing his lighting alone. And you can really feel the miss of energy when you come in a club where you have this DJ playing his music, than when you have like a whole team together having fun and making the show together.
Yeah. Well, then you also have to fight the entourage of DJs who want to be right next to them while you're trying to do your job up there. I'm sure that was interesting sometimes.
It was interesting, but back in the days, like before 2015, all the big DJs and all the big artists we hosted, they came alone, you know, like the good old days, like the DJ is coming with his records and he's just playing music. Nowadays, the DJ is coming with his camera guy, with his lighting guy, with his VJ, with his manager and everybody. And most of the big guys, you cannot host them into nightclubs because the fee is too high, and they just in a completely different business now. They play festivals, they play like a rock band, when back in the days they really came in the club playing like a DJ. So I'm sure like even nowadays it will not be possible because they won't allow me to play so close to the artist, you know.
Interesting. Wow, thanks for... Yeah, we met, remember, like what year? 2014 maybe?
I think we met 2014 in Germany.
Yeah, we did. Actually came out to Cologne, I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. And you came to Queen a bit later.
I came to Queen to do some more research on this. Yeah, it was good.
It was fun. I think you came for a night like Bob Sinclair or something like that.
Yeah, it was very good. Yeah, your input really helped shape up these products. So I think you have a huge influence actually on this product line. So thank you.
I just thank you to make it, because like since day one I have it. I just use it on every day, on every gig. Like even today. So right now, so this was 5 years ago. Now I'm running a company. We are still doing a lot of nightclubs, a lot of festivals and stuff like that. But I am no more performing 5 days a week. I'm still working 6 to 7 days a week, but on a lot of different projects. And I'm still loving those tools, because like most of the time I just put this in my backpack and I'm going to see my clients with all the stuff in my backpack. And like, for example, tomorrow I go to program a fitness room. I just coming with my backpack. I put my computer out. I bring my so tomorrow I'm going to use the M Touch. I do all my programming, record it for the client, and when I leave, everything is quickly programmed. And I don't have to use my car and come with like this huge lighting desk and need 2 people to open up and everything. And in a lot of nightclubs, we install those for the budget, but also it doesn't break. I mean, this one is, I think, 3 or 4 years old, and it's still not breaking. And I still have all my M Touch and everything. I never have any problem with it. When back in the days, the fader, every 6 months we had to change the fader. So it's just an awesome tool. And I'm just so thankful to you guys to make it, because even today we have no other product like that on the market.
It actually surprised me that nobody else tried to like design something like this. I mean, we worked together with a company in the US called Live It.
Yeah.
who made the, what was it called? Bass was the controller, and that's actually where these touch faders came from. And we worked with them. We're not actually not touch, they're pressure. Like, so we notice this. They actually don't work on touch, so it's actually.
They know more, and I tried the controller, and the M play is really my favorite on the touch strips. I can really feel the lights on the touch strips, and that's only on the M play.
Yeah, we actually made the buttons a bit softer on the M play, and we use the same now on the ONYX touch. I think you have a little presentation there, a couple of like images of like work you've done. So you want to have a look at that?
I wanted to talk today about one club now that we have in Paris, and we are performing there every week. So right now in France, and I think pretty much everywhere in the world, nightclubs are going really down because it's no more that much in. Everybody goes to festivals. All the big names, all the big artists are playing in festivals and no more in clubs. And clubs now, they play, so they still open during the week and during the weekend, but people go less out during the week. So because there's a lot of other stuff to do, even during the weekend, like back in the days, if you go like 10 or 15 years ago, in the weekend, you go to the nightclub. That's the main thing to do. Nowadays, you go to bars, you can play PlayStation, you can play Fortnite with your friends. There's so much more thing entertaining to do that nightclub is no more the thing. So we work with places who are more event rooms where you can host multiple events, and we play as a nightclub during the weekend, and during the week we do like all sorts of corporate events. We make a private party for brands, weddings, birthday parties, and all that type of stuff. And that's really interesting because on another side, we developed a lot as a technical company. So Visionz, my company, is not only lighting, but also a very technical solution, as we have a real knowledge into lights, a real knowledge into video, but also on the software, on the technical side. And as we are used to work with nightclubs who has very small budget and a huge request in what you want to do, we are able to find quick and pretty cheap solutions that can fit in a lot of very complex situations. So I'm gonna show my screen if it's working. Screen 2, yeah.
I should mention to our existing ONYX users, you know, if you installed any of the factory content from Dialos, actually Visionz was kind enough there with Florimond to provide us quite a nice set of files that he uses all the time. So we're going to see that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Also, I want to mention real quick, in case you haven't been in these webinars before, there's a Q&A button on the bottom of your screen.
Ah, yeah, I need to check.
If you have any questions, you want to talk about something, just put it into the Q&A, and we'll try to reference it throughout the webinar. So especially once we get more into the programming side and layout, you know, yeah, put something in there. We'll be happy to talk about it. Sometimes there can be some really great questions, and they, you know, help. So don't assume that everybody knows something and you don't. If you're curious, put it in there.
Feel free to ask any question, guys, especially if you already saw my tutorials and everything. Feel free to ask any question, and even I have a lot of questions for Matthias. So going through my setup and the way I work a bit later, feel free to ask any question, and I have a lot of time, so we can spend all night on this if you want. So this is a place I wanted to talk to you about. So if I have the right pictures. So this is, I'm lucky, I live in Paris, which is like a beautiful city. And we have a lot of places in two very, very, very amazing places inside of Paris. So this club is here under the bridge. So this is one of the biggest and most beautiful bridge in Paris. When I go to work, I can see the Eiffel Tower and everything. And so that's a very amazing location, even for a nightclub, or if you want to do any kind of corporate event, or if you want to promote your brand, it's a very nice location. And it's installed as a nightclub, and that can transform into any type of setup. So we have one flat floor, big room, and lighting system that can be used as good as an amazing nightclub as an amazing corporate events during the week. So if I have the pictures.
It's called Bridge Club, really?
It's called Bridge Club, exactly.
Okay.
So here, for example,
I know
you
where
can
I can go next time I'm in Paris.
Exactly, man. So here you can see pretty much what it looks like during a party. Here is like with empty. And so we really transform the whole place depending of the party, depending of the brand who is renting the place. And so when you first come in, it's really empty. We have, I think, 100 beam lights on the roof. And to make it cheap and have access to a lot, it's 2R beam lights from China. Very, very cheap, but I wanted a lot to have like this nice effect. And that when people step in, they see the lights and they don't just see like some wash lights and lighting up the building. So that's why instead of going of like a higher brand, we wanted to go on like something cheaper, but put a lot in, because even on the high brand events, when people step in, they're just like, wow, the lights are amazing. And it's one of the first things you see when you step in.
Yeah, 2R is definitely bright enough. I mean, that's a very low ceiling. With a 5R, you burn holes into people.
Exactly. We had the setup we had before, we redesigned it, was full made with Robbie, but they had like 10 times less fixture because of the budgets. And so here we have mainly some air tone. So that's the magic blade. I have some magic panel on the other side, and some Mac Aura, and then just beam lights, because we at Visionz, we love the beam lights. And I was thinking I have some picture with the cars. Oh yeah, it's here. And so, for example, so we use this place just for like gaming parties or some kind of stuff. For like, this was for a birthday.
Place, huh? I mean, the architecture of it is just
it's a very beautiful place.
Yeah.
And I loved how the main challenge was to keep it beautiful and easy, so that when the client comes in and want to rent the place, he can imagine how he can personalize it. And in the same time, during the weekend, we had to transform it into the most amazing nightclub of Paris. And I think it's one of the biggest club and with the most technical setup into Paris. And so this was for Mercedes. We had like Mercedes presentation. So we are able to make a lot of cool effects with the beam lights. And for us in the lighting industry, it looks pretty normal to have that many beam lights, even if you're walking into like a festival or concerts. But for the whole event and corporate, they never use beam light that much. Like most of the time, clients step in, and when I show them like, okay, we have 100 beam lights on the roof, and they just tell me, shut them off. It looks too much like nightclubs. And once I show them, okay, look, I can put everything in the dark, and I can just like, when you see, oh, he's stepping on, I can put all those lights and into little points around him. It looks amazing. And we bring up some of our nightclub knowledge into corporate events, and clients are super amazed by that. And for us, it's super easy to do. And then the interesting part where we love it, when we have some more electronic or techno nights, the same place can look like very dark and underground. Even with some 2R beams.
Actually, I think 2R is a perfect size. I never understand people hanging 5R based fixtures into these low ceiling places.
Yeah, exactly.
It's silly.
And then we have like a LED screen setup. Depending, so sometimes we play, we really change all the time the way the DJ is playing. Sometimes he's playing in the middle of the room. Sometimes he's playing into the under the beams in the center. Or we are really flexible with the place, and we designed the whole lighting and LED screen setup for that.
Looks great.
Yeah, it's a nice place to work. And when we have like more hip hop parties, we put a lot of VIP areas and stuff like that. And I put like, I can have podiums with dancers and all that kind of stuff. And then same, when I started in nightclubs, the artistic director always told me, okay, for the dancers, I just want some wash light on it. And we always light up the dancer with the beam lights because it gives them much more, it brings them with the gobos and everything. We can like, sometimes they think it's mapping on the dancer because we use the beam lights to light them up, when usually you don't do that. You just use like a wash light, one single light on the dancer so that everybody can see the dancer. So I love to do that. And everywhere where I go and I just use that kind of lighting effects, like people are amazed. Because we just try to think different instead of making the usual way of lighting. So that's the place. And if we jump into
thanks
ONYX,
for showing that. That's looks really fun. So we're actually going to look at the show file that you use there, right?
Yeah. So that's it's not the latest version, but it's exactly the show file we're using. So first, let me step in. I think
so probably a good way to start is that we just look at the fixture patch and groups. Sort of go through like you would explain the show file from scratch to somebody, and I think it'd be helpful.
So to give you a quick idea, we have like 3 rooms into one. So we have this one here that we call room 1, room 2 here, and then a third one. We have here lines of 20 beams, and then I have Mac auras, that's the blue one, and then I have magic panels here. And here is pretty much the same. For this one here, we have some choppies because we don't have the renting company didn't have enough of the 2 R beams, so we just hang out some choppies here, and pretty much the same design. So wash lights, and instead of the magic panel, the magic blade on the side. And then here, this is just some magic, I think some dots. So let me jump into the patch. So the patch is pretty long. We have a lot of fixture there. And we always try to have full control on everything. So I think we're running around 25 universes on that show. And I think the patch was made per truss. Patching is always a nightmare, especially when you work with a lot of fixture. But I always try to bring from 1 to, like, let's say 1 to 99, one type of fixture, and then 101 to 199 another type of fixture, so that when I make my first grouping, I can go really quick on that. So you can see, like, I have some different stuff, but this is not the final show file. So there is some little mistakes into it, but you can see that I basically have all my beam 2R, and then at 101 I change for another one. And this is really just made so that I can quickly call, like if I want to have on my beam, I know I can go on the keyboard and just go 101 through 199, and I will have all my beams. And in ONYX, I know back in the days, I was really trying to filter on my fixture like that, but now I'm always using a lot the filter here, especially on that shows where we have a lot of different fixtures, and so I'm no more taking that much time to make my patch look good because I can just filter everything I want.
You utilize some color, I see there on some of them.
Yeah, some of them have colors, some of them don't, because I take time every 2 or 3 years to program one good show, and then I just take that show on the road, and that's why you can see a lot of other fixture that like the Zenith B200, because that show goes from one place to the other, and we're just patching and swapping, and I just know that I have all my effects and I know all the programs and everything I have in this show file, and then I just move this show file from one place to the other. So that's one of my personal show file. It looks like a mess, but I know exactly where everything is. And in my team nowadays, we have around like 10 light operator, and every light operator has pretty much the same show file, but everybody has his own show file, because just depending on 1 or 2 button, you have to know where it is. And when
okay, so you're actually not sharing the same file in that club. Everybody loads their own sort of
everybody loads his own stuff.
All right,
exactly.
that's interesting.
And I also want all my team to program. So it's so easy to come into the club and just use my show file, but I want everybody to have his own show file and load it in and have his own little programs, his own little tips and tricks so that everybody goes into it. So when we change something on the patch, I don't bring one show file with the new patch. I ask everybody, okay, you have to take your show file and update the patch for this place. And so everybody goes into the patch and does it, because when you work with nightclubs, or with like when you always work in the same room, you do the patch once and you can never change the patch in like 3 years. And I figured out when I moved out of Queen, where I was like 3 years resident and we didn't have that much changes, I didn't know how to make a good patch. And I was so slow making a patch that I was, okay, I will stop working 3 years in the same place and don't change anything. I want to always go into programming and go into the patch and all that kind of stuff. So for bridge, you can see that the fixture that I'm using there, like the beam to R, the hazer, the magic panel, and all that kind of stuff, I put my colors and I try to make it good. So they have the right name. I think for the B2R, I always put like the T for the truss. So I know exactly truss 10, truss 9, what is on each truss. And I really try to make it as detailed as possible, because for nightclub, it's okay. We always play with the same programs, but for corporate events, you have to quickly go into all those fixtures to the one fixture you want to get and to light up that little point. So I don't know if you have, guys, any question on the patch, or if you want to see more. For me, it's always pretty boring. So that's not the part where I try to spend the most time.
It's boring, but necessary. You know, if you have,
yeah, I know exactly,
the foundation of everything. If you have a mess there, you never find your stuff, and you just chase your tail.
And so normally I have my fixture center here, and then I use this fixture center view a lot. So sometimes I just break it into 2 parts, so I can have like my fixture in the up and my groups in the down when I quickly want to make some groups. Here it's more about I want to quickly find my fixture or take my groups. And yeah, I'm gonna first go quickly to my layout. So I mostly use the playback buttons. I do everything with playback buttons. And I use a lot of playbacks because I want every little function to be one button. And for example, if I want to push everything on blue, I want a button to make everything blue. But I also want a button if I want just my beams into blue, or just my wash into blue, or everything. And that goes for all the movements, the panel tilt effects, for all the colors, gobos, and this is all the, that's just mess. And here I have all the shutter and chaser effects. I don't have a lot of buttons and for chaser and shutter effects, because we just do everything with the MIDI fighter. So on my MIDI fighter, on my play, I have all the buttons for that. And basically we just do everything close, and then we open group by group what we want. So then I have a programming view where I have my groups, my presets, my programmer, so I can always see what I'm working on. And this is the common parameters, where I have like all the little tools and my grouping.
A lot of people don't use this much, the common parameters. I notice that when I teach people and I talk to them, they're like, we didn't even know that existed.
I think if you go to my older tutorial, I never used it before. And no, I just like when on corporate events, they ask a lot of like color palettes and stuff like that. So I can do it quickly here. And I just love that tool. So I use this a lot. When they ask like, what kind of color do you want? Okay, something more green, more blue, more red. And for the FX, because I like this view here a lot. Because here I can see exactly the shape of my FX and what it's doing exactly. Mm-hmm. And when you have like such a big grid of beams, you go really very deep into the effects. And so I like always to see exactly what's going on here. What else do I'm using a lot? Actually, I'm working a lot with the software NPC. I'm mostly never on the desk. So I try to not use too much that view here. even more because it goes into my program. So I just do a lot with the common parameters. And the grouping tool, I use it a lot too. And I think normally I don't save it. I just try to, yeah, because you can save, I know, but I never use that feature. You can save the groupings, but I just make my groups without the grouping here.
Okay.
So here I have a lot of groups, and I have, like, for example, I have here all my beams, and then I have all my different groups of beams. Same for my wash and all that kind of stuff. And for the preset, the same. I try to have everything that's in the program. I try to have the presets that goes with it. So if I want just on a corporate event, sometimes I need to do a small time code of like 30 seconds to have exactly what the client has in his mind. And instead of doing it live with programs, with cue lists, I just do take the presets because I have exactly the same position, the same movements and everything into the presets. And I just build it as a quick time code. So I just need to push one button and it does what we trained 1 hour before. But for all the nightclub and all the live stuff, I never use the presets and I never go into the program. I play 6, 8, 10 hours of live show without programming anything.
Very different. A lot of people would program all day and they're like, oh, I have to have this and I have to have this. And you build your, you build harmonies, like in a way. You have all these different things and you sort of start combining things. You use a lot of overrides, I guess, to
basically I have everything in cue lists in the buttons, and then on the fader I have pretty much everything in override. So it's just having, instead of having selecting my groups and putting the presets I want into it, I have everything recorded here. And so I have like all my groups here and everything is recorded. And instead of going into the program and pushing one button and searching for the presets, I go faster because I just push one button. I want my beam in red, I push the button, I have the beam in red. And I don't need to select the beams and select the color. And that's when I play live and the music is going and I have things going on in my head and I want them into the show, I can go much quicker that way. That's why I use so many playback and so many different pages, and I try to organize my pages the best because it has to be as quick as possible and I want to access all my function as quick as possible. Cue list here is just an overview of my cue lists and what's in, but that's the same as most of my programs. I just one cue and one value, for example. I don't use that window too much. This is really when I need to change some options. It's going here. Or when I want, for example, when I'm working on the MIDI macro, that kind of stuff, I need this view because I need to work on several things. But that's not a view I'm spending a lot of time into it. 2D plan, so my 2D plan, and then I have another one that is more looking like a plot where I have like all the names and everything. And that's an old one, and then you see all the mess. And normally I have one just for the beam. This is made for dialers, so I can just activate dialers on my beams, and some other train. Basically, we work a lot with the layers, and if it's done right, I can just hide everything I want. Okay. So most of the time we just hide everything, and I just want to work on the beam, and I just check out the beam. And when I have time, I try to put a JPEG in the background, so I have the infos I need. So here, for example, I can see which truss it is and which universe. So I know directly, okay, what do you want to work on? Oh, this fixture, it's on truss 10, and I can find it easily. Because we don't think it too much about it, and even us when we started to working, but when you have such a grid of lights, finding the one you need to go on the right position or doing the right effect is a mess. It's a real nightmare. Even myself, when I go down in the club and I try to count the fixture on the roof, I'm always not on the good one. So that's why we try to get the exact truss number. We put some little stickers on the truss, and so I know exactly what. So I want to have this beam doing this effect, truss 10, and then I can find it easily here. And that's a good option for me to not use too many different layouts. I'm always into the same layout here. And we started to work with different layout just since we started working with Dylos, as I can do like an effect just on the beam. And if I'm right, here I cannot say, here it's going on all the fixtures. So the strobes and the RGB fixture that are brightening up the bar and everything. Oh, I see question.
Yeah, it's actually more for me, so I'll answer those in a bit.
To add better.
Do you so? I see that you use beams in here. You use the feedback of it. Do you work with any other visualizers when you work in this
No.
club? Just this one for you.
I try to make as much as possible with my software. So I know plugins are amazing. I know visualizers are amazing, but it's a waste of time. So I really try to do as much as I can into the software. That's why instead of using a show cockpit or another stuff, I try to take as much as of the internal MIDI system. And for what I do, and here it's just pushing some buttons, the MIDI system does the job. So it's much more easier for me. It's much more easier for the other people working on the same setup because everything is in one program and you don't need to bring up a lot of different stuff. Visualizer, the 2D plan of ONYX bring me just what I need. I need to know which color I'm working on, and I need to know the position of the lights. So we spend a lot of time here making that 2D plan looking perfect so that all the positions are right and everything. And then during the night, we just use that. And for the programming, like we program a lot here at the office, I just use the 2D plan. For me, like programming, it's such a waste of time to open ONYX, open a visualizer. That means I need a second screen or a second computer, make the connection between the two, remake all the fixture setup into the visualizer. I'm losing like one day when sometimes I just want quickly to program or to prepare a lot of stuff. So 2D plan for me is amazing. And I have one question on that side for you, Matthias. Is there a way to have the shutter into the 2D plan?
There could be a way. At the moment, there isn't.
There isn't, right?
No,
I was searching last day about that,
no.
and is that a choice or is it like a technical limitation?
It's a choice that we made at this point to do intensity and color mixing.
So it could be possible in the future, because that's the only thing that makes the difference between a visualizer and the 2D plan is that sometimes when you, for example, if I want to show you some effects on my MIDI fighter, I cannot see it here. And
yeah, this will now that it's become a pretty crucial part of Dylos.
Yeah.
Actually, Dylos works sort of in 3D internally, actually. So I think this will evolve into something more than it is right now.
And that's a thing I like, because with my team, we speak a lot and we try a lot of new things. And at this club, we have two screens, one screen for the operating and another one just with the 2D plan, as we don't see what's going on in the whole place. And I love the fact live that when I make my shutter close and I close everything and I make my whole club in the dark, I can still see what's going on in the fixture on my 2D plan. And we use a lot that feature because we can prepare the position, the color, check on the 2D plan what's going on. And when the beat goes on, we know exactly that what we are doing is right. So if you add the shutter, add a on-off feature so that we can still have the shutter close in real life and see what's going on in the visualizer.
Yeah, maybe there'd be some sort of options table where you can just say, because this can get really busy once you start adding iris and zoom, and then it just becomes like too much.
Yeah, even the zoom, yeah. I don't work that much with gobos and zoom and all that kind of stuff. So that's another particularity of what I'm doing. Next view is the 4Live. So that's really what I'm using live. And little mistake here. I'm now doing it. I'm finding a new way to work every week. So since like 2 or 3 months before the whole crisis, I started working without the toolbar. So I can easily have, so this is all my position and movements. This is all my colors, gobos, and shutter here. And that's when you come to see me live, that's what under my fingers on a huge touch screen. And so I have access to like 400 programs. And you can see that even in this nightclub where we're working since 1 year now, it's still not full because we have enough space for what we need. And we still didn't feel everything. And here I have all my colors, all my position, all my gobos, zoom, and all that kind of effects, and my shutter, all under my hands. And I don't need anything. And then sometimes I even hide this bar here. So I just have all my program, and I can just call all my function the way I want. That's really the main part of the way we are working for nightclubs and for live events. It's just, I want it, I push it, I have it. And then all the rest, I think, is just the fixture view where we get like all the fixture. So you can see it's pretty well organized with the colors. I have all my wash, I have all my groups, and that's where Matthias was saying that patch is boring, but really important. If you do your patch well and you take time to enter the colors and everything, when you look for a fixture or something, that view is amazing. You can quickly find everything you want, even the latest fixture that you added.
Yeah, I like this view actually. That's the way it does these breaks automatically. It's like it keeps everything really organized, especially if you have large multi-part fixtures.
Yeah, here you can see I have this show file is a mess, but in the same time it's amazing because I have everything I need, every type of fixture I have, like, and I can really work and adapt my show pretty fast to any kind of situation. That's why that's my main show file I'm using. Even if tomorrow I have a very small gig like a wedding with just some spot moving lights and some RGB fixture, I will use that show file because in 5 minutes I'm ready to play. I have all the movements, all the colors, everything ready. FX macro, that was just a try, and then I use like the clear, the move when I quickly need to color presets and a lot of other stuff. We're always trying new stuff. The nightclubs, you work a lot from like midnight to 4 or 5 in the morning, and before the show and especially after the show, like when the last 1 or 2 hours, we always try stuff. We always look, oh, this button, what is it doing? For example, like the timing, and I'm always trying stuff. So I have nothing special to hide here, guys. So it looks a bit messy, but that's really the show file I'm working with. And I'm just trying a lot of different stuff. I'm trying to go faster. And a lot of time I'm just going here, edit function, and I'm looking what kind of windows exist and what I am not using. And what could each, because the guys who develop the software, they have so many good ideas. And sometimes I'm writing to Matthias like, I want to do this, and he tells me it's in the software since 10 years. Just go and check that button or check that view. So yeah, I'm spending a lot of time here. And then when I play live and it has to get serious, I just go into my own workspace where you can see I just have what I need. So that's a view where I have even my M play here, so I can quickly see what's going on my M play, where are my buttons. And if not, I just have like my 4 live here. I have my dialers view where I can quickly go in and check some media files. Oh, that's just a magic panel. I think we lost that. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so I have one view for programming and training, and then I have like one other complete layout just for the live. But it's pretty much the same views. Yeah, so I think that's it for the layout. I'm making it pretty basic. I don't have a lot of very special trick on that part. It's just like trying to organize all the stuff, trying to make a lot of playbacks and make them look good and quickly accessible. So for example, yeah, that's another cool thing. I always have on the first line here, the all. So that's going to all my fixtures. So all position, all colors. And if we go to the shutter view, all close, all open. And then the third one is going for all the beams. So here is all the position of the beam. Here is like the colors of the beam. Here is the shutter of the beam. And here is the gobo of the beam. And that's a way to quickly know I want my beam. I know exactly the position where they are on the screen. And when I play live, everything goes so quick and so smooth. And I don't have to think where are my programs, and my mind my eyes and I'm completely focused on what I want to do. And I think that's what one of my special secret, and one of them what makes the real difference. It's, instead of having my eyes and my nose into my lighting desk, thinking about the programming and getting the fixture and the preset, I'm just focused on my show, having the eyes on my lights and okay, what I want to do. And I'm driving this like a car. Like when you drive a car, you're no more thinking, I want to turn, now you're just driving and you have time to look what's going around and enjoy. And that's what I'm doing when I play Lights Live, because I try to organize my whole show file that way. Quick look at the questions. It's a question for Matthias.
I'm muted, sorry. Do you use the workspace much at all? Do you have different workspaces, or you just sort of stick to one?
We used workspaces back in the days when we worked on the same show file for all the guys. Everybody had his workspace, and now everybody has his show file. Especially that's my fault, because like I come in with my show file and I just like, oh, I had a gig last week and I made those new cool effects and I want to import those cool effects into this club. So I just load my own show file, and a week later when another guy comes in, he's like, the show file is completely fucked up, guys. What can we do? And so I thought, okay, now everybody has his own show file, so nobody complains that you have to work with my file where I'm just trying my stuff, but I can still play live in the best conditions. So now I just have one workspace, like usually the default, to program and try stuff, and then I have the ZYPER here, where I just have what I need live. Also, I'm going always into this display view and trying to hide everything I don't need.
Lots of options there.
Yeah, a lot of options. You can turn everything off. Just this one, if you turn this one on, I think it turns another one on. Or not even. Yeah, but yeah, that helps me when I play live, to have just what I need on my screen and have as much space as possible.
Yeah,
and
no
just
playback
if you
bar, for example, don't need it the way you don't really think in this structure of faders.
I think the first thing was that I'm using a lot the M play, and I think you cannot have the M touch down there, the M play down there.
No, that bottom bar is really married to the main playback.
And the second thing was that once I hid this to get more space, I discovered that I know exactly, I have 12 fader on my M play, and I know exactly what each phaser is doing. So that's the same, I'm always using the same show file, always the same layout. So I just, any gig I'm doing, I'm training on the same way of working. So even if I go to a new place with a huge setup, I know exactly what I want to do. And after 5 minutes, I'm in, because I play exactly with the same layout and the same way of working. That's why a lot of people call us Visionz, my company, to open huge places in less than a week, because we come in, we know exactly what we have to do. And on the first night, I'm not trying stuff. I have all my faders, my fingers know exactly where everything is, and I can play live 100%. Where most of the time a nightclub opening or a new play opening, you miss like half of the programs, you don't know exactly what you can do with the fixture, and you're just trying stuff on the first night, when everybody expects the first night should be like, wow. And Bridge was really that. Bridge, we opened, I think we started working on the change of the whole layout on Monday, and our first night was on Thursday.
Let's have a look at some of those questions. So, let's see. I'll go through of these and see what's maybe relevant to you. So, any plans to add more colors to the color picker? Yes, there are plans, but don't really know when that's going to happen. It's not.
This one?
Yeah. So.
But what do you expect more? I think you can have pretty much
white,
everything.
You know that it automatically brings in white, RGB, amber. ETC does that actually on there, some of their consoles. So right now it only mixes RGB and CMY. So.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know that it actually controls more parameters.
You guys gonna hate me, because basically my color layout is super easy, and
you get like what, 8 colors? 10. Wow.
I have 10 colors because it just make one line. And I'm mostly never using yellow because it looks ugly. Even like now that I use those two R beam,
You did see
they
the
are not so
picture I used
powerful.
of you, right? It's like all yellow.
Yeah, so now I use a lot of yellow. But yeah, I'm using 10 colors and I'm always programming every fixture the same way. That means that my red is 100% red and 0 on the rest. And green is 100% green. So I use this color picker for like corporate events when I have like 1 hour of like, oh, we want that exact color that is matching our logo. But for all the clubbing and festival, it's just like 100% 0 for the rest. And I just do it that way because I don't have time to spend 3 hours checking for the right green and the right red and everything. It's just like 100% and 0 on the rest. And even like if you go to cyan, yeah, it's like 100, 100 and 0. And then it's, I think orange is like 25, 100.
That works. Let's
It works.
see.
Sometimes
Any
it looks good.
plans?
Sometimes I'm less lucky.
Yeah. Any plans to add better native MIDI support? The answer to that is yes.
Yes, but what do you want? I mean, you have everything here.
Yeah, different mapping. You know, it's kind of a bit complicated with that. It'd be nice to have like a more visual way of patching this rather than through the scripting.
Yeah.
And there's certain functions that are not easily accessible. You know, so you can't really easily map keypad kind of functions and stuff. So we'll
for the
improve
people who don't know exactly what we're speaking about, so this is a MIDI macro, and each button goes to a function. So I have this button here who makes a go on cue list 236, and this is assigned to channel 3 and MIDI notes 39. And to making this, you have to go to edit mode, and that's where it's a bit painful because you have to check, for example, I want a trigger, and then you have to check between your cue list, and that's where the pain is because we have like almost 600 cue lists in that show.
Yeah, so that kind of mapping is, yeah, we want to improve this vision for sure.
And then don't push this delete all macro, because if you push this, and I did it a lot, you delete everything you did.
Yeah, then you should.
But the cool thing is that it's working super fine.
Well, there's definitely a misunderstanding here, so maybe I should address this real quick. So somehow people think MIDI does not work on ONYX and you need to show cockpit. It actually always worked way before show cockpit even existed. I'm really not sure where that comes from because this exact thing has been in the software for probably 10 years.
For a long time.
So show cockpit made it maybe easier to map certain MIDI functions, and it actually allowed you to map other functions that are not available in the native MIDI. But the playback and fader control and all the stuff that ZYPER has there is natively possible. There's no extra plugins needed. It's not restricted in any way, even in the free version. So not really sure where that comes from.
ZYPER, want to do a video on this MIDI macro page? I already did.
Yeah, a long time ago. Also hasn't really changed.
If you check my latest tutorial, actually, the last part I speak about the MIDI mapping, and I think that's one of the most interesting thing in the video because all the rest is just going through layout and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I did it. It's super quick and easy to do, and same for me. As I'm using always the same show file. I mean, this is just doing shutters, so you can see it's going to all close, all open, and then all my groups open or close, and they never change. So I think I have one special page down here. This is just what is MIDI mapped, and it's always the same. That means that when I add or I clone new fixture, I just make shutter close, and I update this all close. And one tip is this MIDI reset here. If you make any change, does it get it? Reset MIDI mapping. No, I want because I'm in edit mode. No. Why is it not taking it? Yeah, all I have to do is just launch this one. Oh, I think I'm because I'm maybe editing some MIDI.
Look at your command line. You have it cleared out.
Ah, yeah, okay. It's happening some time. So I just select this. And here I just have like MIDI delete. That's going to delete the whole MIDI system and MIDI restart. And that restart the system. And so I'm just
Interesting about this MIDI approach is that you can actually remap stuff on the fly. So the same button can be totally different between different styles of music, or whatever reason that is. You can even have things that it activates MIDI. You run it 4 hits, and then the 5th button push actually automatically disables that cue again. So there's like some really interesting stuff you can do.
And can you, that's a question, Matthias, can you do it on a desk if you use the MIDI in port? Because I think I'm using on the Windows, on the PC version, it's easy. You just plug in any MIDI controller and you go into
everything that's plugged. Basically, ONYX will just look at all MIDI devices that are plugged in. It just subscribes to all of them. On the desks, you have a actual hardware MIDI connection.
Scan, and we'll find it. Yeah, here it is. So I have my MIDI Fighters 3D here on my TouchOS system. And
there isn't really much to configure. Are they on the PC version? You just plug it in and it shows up.
Yeah,
you may need like a virtual MIDI port, like the was it HP? Not HP. Loop BE. So sometimes people write like virtual MIDI ports on there, but that's it.
I do a video.
All right, just keep going through these questions, see what comes up.
So next one, can we see the M-Play layout? Yeah, M-Play is super easy. Let's make a quick new view like this, and then here we're gonna add a 2D plan.
Panels. No, M-Play and
have a look. Yeah, 2D plan. And here I want to add panels. It's in this one. So basically what we have is, I first need to start everything. I have one main thing. It's that in that place where we're working, they have during the week some meetings where they don't need a light operator. They just want the whole system to get light up when they want to present the room to some clients or something like that. So I have some cues here with full white, and they just, when you start up the desk or the computer, in our case, it will automatically load ONYX on startup, and ONYX, when it starts, it will load these 2 cues. And that makes all my lights into white, and so they can make their meeting in the room, and at the end, they just shut down the computer and the power. What I need to do when I come in with my team, we just shut down this. Sometimes we do a quick snap and release, and then we just go for lamp on. That's going to lamp on all the lights. And then we use start. And instead of using all the default value of my fixture, I just make a start program because it's quicker for me to, I want to start on this value. And as I'm using a lot of overrides, this defines the base values of everything. So this cue list has pretty much all the data and all the values of everything I need. And it's going to make my default value. So this queue is always running in the background. Yeah.
So that allows you to preset everything. So opening shutters, everything is in the right settings that you want.
That I need. So for example, if I want to make a chaser, and I'm going to put the speed at 0 into my start, and I'm going to put into my fader the speed at the value I want. And I know I'm going to always override it from 0. So that's what the start is made for. And the next one, that's the magic trick, is start live. And this one is just some macros. And this is going to start all my faders and all the stuff I want. And so I have a live control on it. So I don't have any fader or any program that puts the intensity to 100. Only my fader can do it. And when I push the start live, all my fader will go on, and it will turn on at 100% on my fixture. So I will always run with those faders, and it will always go from the start position, so mostly 0, to the fader. And I have nothing else that can interact on that value, so I will never have any problem with intensity. The intensity of the beam, for example, is always here on that fader. So here, so you can see, so I have all the beams. So that's going to turn all my beam on, the wash, and the panel. So that's my 3 main groups. And everything I'm going to try to control, I'm going to put it or beam or in the wash group or in the panel. And that goes then with the colors programs and with the shutter and everything. Then we have a beam chase speed. That's with like when I want to put in a chaser or something like that, I'm going to use that. Speed par FX, that's another speed fader. Strobes. So this one going to turn on the intensity of the strobe and the speed for like Atomic 3000. Not the strobe of the fixture, but the stroboscopes, really the stroboscopes fixture. One master, inhibitive. And this one going to
control with inhibitive?
Intensity.
Of everything?
Of pretty much everything.
Okay.
And that's the main fader I'm using, because those 3 gonna help me to set the maximal value I want to work on. So most of the time we have the beam open at 100 and the wash not that much. And then with my inhibitive, I can just turn everything to black or everything on again. And it's going to be at the level I want, because like, for example, the magic panel, they are very bright. So sometimes I just want them to run, but not too bright. And I can still have an overall control on everything. And then we have my super movement system. So all my movements are made with those 4 faders. We have the speed, the delay, the pan, and the tilt. And the pan and the tilt, they go to stop. That means they go, if they are at 0 to from 100. I'm gonna add a little bit of speed here. So you can see everything is making 100 tilt and 100 pan. And if I push those fader up, they go to stop. Can we have a view?
Is there a reason that you do it like inverted rather than it
the reason is
increase it?
Is that if I want to make a flash, I can flash them and I can stop all my fixture, and when I release the flash, they go crazy again.
Okay.
And I think that's the invert them was the only way to do it.
Okay.
And I'm doing this since years, so that's just the way I trained to do it. And then all my movements are made like that. So I can play with the tilts. So I can have them going as high as I want. I can add a bit of pan. And I have a complete control on that. I have a control on the speed. And then the delay here, that's one of my favorite feature in ONYX. And I think still today, ONYX is the only one who's doing this. It's a Q blender. The Q blender here. And this one gonna interact with my effects. So I have a wave per 2, per 4, per 8, per 20, as my beams are a line of 20. And here I can say exactly from 0 to 5% of the fader, you are in off mode. From 17 to 34% of the fader, you are in wave per 2. And so if we go back here, yeah, gonna get it. No, okay. You can see if I'm like going up over 5%, I have a wave per 2. Let's just show just the beam. Do we have a 2D dialers? Let's go to the dialers view. And normally, just need to reset everything properly. Yeah. So here you can see I have a wave per 2. And this is all controlled by this fader here. And then if I go up more, I have a wave per 4. And I have different delay of the movements effect.
Where's the pattern coming from in this? Like, which launches the actual movement shape that you use?
I think it's the normal line.
Okay, so that's all. You have just one pattern, and you just manipulate that with the
and I just manipulate that, and I have a complete live control over it, so I can do whatever I want. And I had this problem with movements that, especially in a nightclub, it looks like a loop if I just use the circle. And in every nightclub you're going, every bar, every kind of places like that, you can in 5 minutes see what's going on with the lights because they're always making the same circle. And I wanted, when I play 8 hours long, I didn't want people to see it as like one circle. doing the same circle all night. It's like if the DJ is playing one loop all night. I wanted it to be dynamic and changing all the time. And with that system, I found out that my lights never look the same. My movements never look the same, even if I have just 10 fixture, because I have a live control on it and I can always change it. And if you just change the pan a little bit or the tilt a little bit, and it will make a complete different movement, and it doesn't look like one loop doing always the same thing.
That's probably one of my favorite things about ONYX, how the overrides interact with the effect system. I think it's quite unique.
It's for me, when I have to work with other lighting desks, it's a nightmare, because that's the first thing I'm asking all the time. And when I come on another desk and I have someone hosting me on it, like, and they ask me, what do you want to do? And I tell them, okay, I need one fader for the speed of the effect, one fader to stop the pan, one to stop the tilt, and one to delay the FX movement. And everybody tells me, like, that's not possible. Why do you want to do that? Let's make like 3 different movements in 3 different cues. And I tell them, like, no, I want something live. I want something I can control, and I don't want one button that's gonna play the same loop all night. And even when I work on other desks, and when I play like on festivals or on huge setup, I love to work like that, because you need to, I play a lot with my eyes and with my feelings, and I try to feel the crowd and the energy. And when we make a live concert with a rock band or with a DJ playing in a big festival, I want to feel that energy of the crowd. And by doing this, I can go way more crazy than what I expected doing programming. And I can try doing all the live show, like, okay, I feel now the crowd is going crazy. I want to have more crazy movements. And if you pre-program everything, you cannot do it, because you can only play back what you programmed. And I can really play live what I want and react on the moment. Or sometimes we play in festivals and we play after a very famous band and we have less people, and I'm able to play like slower movements or play like darker and all that kind of stuff when other people come in and they just play back the same show they did what they did 1 week before on a way bigger stage or with a complete different crowd. So that's how I work. I try to work like that on every desk I'm using and in every situation. I think the only place I don't work like that is when we have like one single corporate event and we rehearsal before, because as it's never playbacking the same stuff, in a corporate event, like when you want to have like that one effect when like someone is going on stage for speaking and you have like 3 rehearsal before, you want, when you play live, the exact same effect. But in that way, all I have to do is push my 2 faders to the top. It will stop this kind of effects and I can bring in any other effects.
It's a really good way to do this, and the Q Blender is definitely the way to go to like get a lot of stuff in one fader. You don't waste so many playbacks that way.
Exactly. And back in the days, I think we don't have it here, but I know some of my guys are using that function. They do the same fader with different position. So instead of having 5 or 6 different cue list button for position, they use one fader and they fade from one position to the other. And so, for example, they can really, if I just bring it to the DJ, here. So here you can see all my fixtures are going to the DJ with position here. And what they can do is with one fader, they can bring all the fixture from the DJ to the center of the roof of the room, and maybe bring all the lights up or do that kind of effects. And with Q Blender, you can do that super easy and super fast. So sometimes even when we have like mode show and we want to follow one people walking through the room.
It's great for catwalk stuff.
Yeah, catwalks and that kind of stuff. I do everything with pan tilt position in a Q Blender, and I can just follow them with the fader.
Yeah, it's great to make simple follow spots kind of things. You know, you can follow a presenter around the room. And the way the effects overlay over this makes, you know, just with a few positions and this like simple effect setup, you have hundreds of combinations.
Yeah. So, but that's make it easy. I have like 4 fader and I can control as much movement as I want. And the only restriction I have is what the fixture live in the room can do. But on the software side, with those 4 fader, I can do every type of movements I want. And those 4 goes with some cue lists, and they are here. So this is the orange one you can see here, or yellow one, are just pan tilt position. So if I go here, you can see this is just pan tilt. And here I have beam pan and beam tilt. And they are just opening the pan effect and tilt effect to 100. They have no position. They just open the effect to 100. So once they 2 are running, if my faders here are at 0, the effect is running as maximum, and those are just running the effects to 0 in an override mode. That means that you go from maximum, and how much more I push my fader, how much more I bring it back to 0. And then here I have an FX form, and in the FX form I have like different types of form for the FX.
Okay, so that's where you get different movement patterns out of that then. Okay.
And that's where it's up to all my operator, all my guys. Some of them like the rounding shape. I just like the straight shape. So I'm always in the straight shape. If you don't get it right, it's that one, this one. And some of my guys use that one. Some of my guys use the circle. So that's up to everybody. I like my movements to go really straight and have the same speed from the beginning to the end. When the other ones, they like to have this a bit faster in the corner and a bit slower in the middle. So that's up to you. That's I always say that that's up to you. That's your own artistic path. I like it to be straight, but that's my style. So that's how we manage that.
This means you have a lot of faders and things running. How do you get out of this if like all of a sudden DJ goes into a freeze or goes completely into like a, you know, sphere kind of sounds? Like, how do you stop this quickly?
The movements?
Yeah, well, just, you know, how do you get out of crazy club into, you know, like a trance song and it goes like, it's like quiet all of a sudden? Like, how do you transition into that?
So with my faders, so all I have to do, I can stop my lights pretty easily, and then I can just like open them and make them go crazy pretty fast. It's just a fader pushing up and down. Or sometimes if you just want to make a crazy effect like that stop, I can push my flash button and it will stop my fixture. And then I can just slow down every effect.
And then sneak back into it as a...
And just push it up again.
Yeah, okay.
Or I just push the pan off. Yeah, one last thing I wanted to show you on this setup here. So we did a lot of effects with the beam. And I came in, let me show you with the presets. It's gonna be easier. So I have this home one. Oh yeah, that's not my, I think it's broken. Let's go for, so I have my home one presets, and this one is just position, center and center. And that one will make all my lights going that way. And then I have another one here that's called home 2. So this is just pan and tilt. That means that every effect shape I'm using will adapt from another position. So here they are going that way. And then I can just, like for example, delay them 1 by 2. Push a little bit in. Gonna see it better with the other one. And then here, for example, without any delay, I inverted the pan and the tilt position. So that means it looks real in real life, but as those are Chinese fixture, I had to make the fixture myself, and on the 2D plan it looks a bit weird. But they are just doing a delay, but it's not in the effect; it's directly in the pan tilt position, so that when I bring in my own delay on my fader, I have another type of delay. And that's the way how I can have some really symmetric movements in real life. Like that. And I have a lot of effects like that, like inverted just the pan tilt to make my final effect shape look a bit different.
Yeah, it's quite amazing with just a few positions and some, you know, thinking about it ahead of time, how much flexibility you have there.
Yeah. The main idea for us is to have access to everything live and do whatever we want without any programming during the live show. So yeah, that's some cool stuff for the movements. And once you did that, I don't have any more ideas for now how we can make more with movements, because we already have access live to pretty much everything we want to do, and pretty quickly. Let me check.
I'm going to jump back into some of those questions here real quick.
How do you
the
lay out?
question here is about if there be more input into ONYX on getting BPM control into the effects. Yeah, we're looking at this. Actually looked at Pioneer and some sort of MIDI clock to get something into that. Dialers is also something that will benefit from that. Do you use any sort of time sync at all? Do you just use your ears, right?
I remember back in the days when we met, you showed me like the M play and the M touch, and you showed me the beat button. It was super new, and I was super exciting about it, and I never used it because as I have this live control, I don't want something to be directly on the beat. I always have the control to make it a little bit faster or a little bit slower. And lighting fixture until now, they still don't, they are not fast enough to go to any BPM. So if you're playing like some deep house music under 120 BPM, it's okay. But when you play something faster, you want a lot of energy, we are always way faster than the BPM. So even for visuals, like for dialers, when we try to have those shape going directly on the beat, we try to make it manual with our feelings, because we always feel the BPM, exact BPM, will make the effect a bit slower. And our main job with lights is to try to make the track and the music and the energy faster and higher. And the exact BPM effects always look a bit slower. I don't know why, I just feel it like that. So now, we never use the BPM stuff.
Okay. Question that came in here is like, do you use the Show Cockpit plugin at all still? You don't need it? Like for your setup, it's not part of this, right?
On ONYX, seriously, we just use the MIDI fighter. So that's the only thing we have to make to go in. I have an OSC template on TouchOSC, but it's the same. It goes directly into ONYX. And now I think we didn't use it at all now. The thing with ONYX is that we're changing a lot of computers all the time. Like I have at the office, we have like 10 different computers. I have light operators coming at the office, programming some shows. And then we have the some gigs we do with our own computers. So that means I have one big computer at the office with a lot of screens, and I have a laptop to play live. Some other clubs, we play with the in-house laptop, and the Show Cockpit license management is a nightmare. So we used it, but I try to bring it out of my layout and the way I'm working, because it just slows me down. Like every time I come in a new place, I have this license problem. I don't have the right mapping files and everything. And in ONYX, I just need to load my show file, and the MIDI mapping is inside the show file. So any computer, I just plug in the MIDI fighter and it's working. Okay. And same for OSC. OSC, we do our own templates, and we do everything with ONYX. And another cool stuff about speaking about control, we install ONYX in nightclubs, in bars, in fitness rooms, and we use the ONYX manager for that. So I don't know if a lot of people know about this one or still.
Yeah, we did actually a session about it as one of those ONYX advanced scheduling.
Yeah. So the ONYX manager is a very, very cool option, especially if you work in the same place, to make an amazing looking layout. And I'm already thinking about making one for this club, for this installation, as we pretty much use the same button every week. And this will help me to make my layout even faster to use and better to use. So Show Cockpit, yes, but not with ONYX right now.
Can you show real quick the pan and tilt stop cue list? What's actually programmed in there? I think it's just all your fixtures at swing 0, right? That's
exactly.
Not speed 0, swing 0.
Swing 0, yeah.
That's the difference.
Cue list here, so it's
Yes,
everything at 0.
The effects, for people that are not aware of how this works in ONYX, you have a swing, which is basically the amplitude for the parameters, for the pan movement and for the tilt movement. When you set that to 0, the figure will just it will not go away from its base position. If you would take the speed to 0, the figure will actually freeze, which is also an interesting effect. You can have a speed fader, and if you push it, it may go as fast, or you can make a freeze button that way as well.
Let me show you the magic, because I scratched my head a lot with this setup, and it was the first time that I had a real 2D perfect grid like that. So I'm gonna bring back, I'm gonna clean this here and bring back the position here for life, here to hold. And here normally, if I get on my fixture, yeah, bring this. So I just release all my faders. Oh no, I'm just gonna stop everything. So right now, everything is at center. If I move, I'm gonna move everything, but I want to start my effect to start from center. And then here I can just update my effects and add in some timing. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I have one cue by default at maximum, and then I have another fader that is just gonna bring this back to 0. And that's exactly what the pan stop and tilt stop faders are doing. They're just gonna bring this down to 0. And by doing that, I have a complete control on how high I want my effect to go, and if I want it to rotate or not. And that's exactly what they are doing.
It's definitely interesting to do it reverse, so you can pounce on it and have a freeze or, that's I think that's interesting.
That's the magic tips.
Yeah, that's why we do this here. Do you use any lasers?
Not that much.
No.
No.
There's really no, I mean, the question is about safety considerations. That is really up to the laser operator and the way you set it up. If the laser supports DMX, ONYX can control it. And the safety part is usually handled by the laser, either through the wattages has. It may have some shutoff things that you have to configure so it doesn't hit in certain areas, but that's really up to the laser itself. It's like, using flame effects. Don't look into it when you push the button on the console, and that's your responsibility to be safe with that.
When I have to work with all those effects, I'm just the man who pushed the buttons, but all the safety and all that kind of stuff, it's not up to me. So most of the time, the guys tell me, okay, we put this on this address and this address, and same for the laser. I had laser one day in a nightclub in Dubai called Base, but I set up the same stuff then in ONYX as a DMX control. So I had colors, some sort of pan and tilt to make some movements. And then instead of gobos, I had all my laser effects. And then I had like the size and the speed, and I put everything on the same fader. That means that when I make a movement really slow in my lights beam, my laser is doing some very slow shapes. And all I'm doing is when I push red and I put all my lights in red, I push my laser into red too. So that's the way I work with that.
Okay. I'm going to answer a few things personally here.
I do both lighting and DJ. Is there a way I can sync my Serato DJ controller with ONYX? Is this through MIDI or timecode via hardware or software?
No, currently you can get timecode in, but that's a different kind of signal than the timecode Serato uses.
Yeah. I gotta show you something.
Pioneer recently opened up a protocol that we may use or log into.
So this is my DJ controller. And on this one, I have some faders here. And those fader, I can send MIDI information to ONYX. So as a DJ, I use ONYX all the time. Sometimes I take my M-Play just next to my DJ controller. And sometimes on some very small gigs, like some weddings and that kind of stuff, I send some information directly from my DJ controller to ONYX. But even on the biggest shows we do with some super known artists and everything, we never use timecode because it's boring, first and all, and it's too long to set up. Like if you are a DJ, you are not really into lighting. So just bringing and setting up your patch and having your fixture working is a big part of the job for a DJ. If you want to go into programming and timecode and everything, you won't be done in time and you won't have enough time to do it. I mean, you will stop before doing timecode. So don't try absolutely to be stuck on timecode. You will never have this effect where you're playing a song and you have the lights doing exactly what the song is about.
It's actually super difficult as soon as you start mixing and blending and looping. It's not that easy.
And for people who follow me since a long time, I'm a DJ, and at the same time, I'm a light operator and I'm a VJ. So I have all the knowledge, I have all the material, I know the software perfectly. And at this point, I'm still not good enough to sync my whole show alone. So there is a lot of solution, like I DJ a lot of time and I just want like have some strobing effects, some red and some stuff like that. So for that, this controller is amazing because I have some quick effects. It's pretty small, so I can take it everywhere with me. And I just trigger some effects. And on bigger show, I just take a light operator with me or something like that. And for the visuals, it's exactly the same. And most of the time, I will control my visuals with ONYX. So when I put like red on my lights, when I'm DJing, my visuals will turn into red because ONYX tells the VJ software, make the visuals red.
We're definitely going to see more, at least a sort of beat synchronization. So you can get, you know, a beat count out of Serato or out of Pioneer, and then you can lock effects or dialers into that beat. But at the moment, I can't give like a real ETA on that. But we're definitely aware that people want that, and there's a lot of good uses for this to, you know, fine-tune the show there for sure. Color and dimmer is something you haven't really touched at all yet on, and you know, I guess now with the new versions, your approach probably changed quite a bit. So maybe you can explain that, maybe how you used to work and how you work now with that.
Color is super basic with me, so I don't have much of color effects, and I think that's one of the part where I didn't change too much in the last years. So my colors are still the same.
Color chases and rolls of color going
no, not at all.
Okay.
I like to have like for each track, I have to have one color scene for everything, but I don't use a lot of color changes or that kind of stuff because I try as a light operator to enhance each track, and some tracks are really dark, so I try to have some darker atmosphere. Some tracks are really speaking about love, so I try to have like lovely colors and that kind of stuff. And that's it. I don't see why I would love to have like blinking lights or changing colors or that kind of stuff if the track and the music don't go with it. And the only thing I'm using is that all multicolor for the disco effects, because we all know they're all disco effects, but yeah, only on disco. And even on disco tracks, like when they play, back in the days at Queen, I was working on a party, they played disco all night, and the guy just told me, the guy before me just told me, like, put multicolor all night. And after like 1 hour, I was like, I want to change in the light, I want some different emotion, I want to bring it darker and then brighter and lovely and everything. So that's, I try to really stay stuck on one color scheme for the same track, and then it depends. Like, I have a vision of color that's really special, but for me it works, and I know a lot of guys working too. So red is something very dark and very warm atmosphere on the red. That's why a lot of people on the techno use that red, because it's very dark. And it's going to give the people a dynamic and warm atmosphere, where the blue is dark too, but is much more cold. And when you enter a nightclub, when you enter a bar, when you enter a restaurant, even when it's empty, you don't want to feel that cold atmosphere. You want to feel comfortable. So that's why a lot of time you will see red or orange, because those colors are warm. Green in nightclub, it's the color they tell you don't use it because it makes the people look ugly. And the green is not a very comfortable atmosphere. So that's why in techno, in very underground stuff, you see a lot of green, because you don't go into a techno rave to feel comfortable or to feel good. You want to feel like that underground and strange feeling. Yellow is the color I don't use that much because it's too bright and it looks like this peace color. So I prefer to use like some sort of amber or orange instead of yellow. And a cyan, it's that kind of very, very cold blue. And it looks bright too. So sometimes I will use blue because I want that cold feeling. And to make it a bit more bright, because I don't want to have a too dark atmosphere, I will add some cyan into it. Pink I never use because most of the time the pink doesn't look that great. I use a lot of the magenta for everything that has to feel comfortable but not too dark, because the red will be dark where the magenta is more bright and feel really warm and comfortable. And same for the orange. Orange is a very, very warm and comfortable atmosphere. And then finally I have the UV, who is like just dark, but you always need a little bit of light. So that's my colors. That's why I use those colors. And when I want to have maximum power, I bring all those colors, all those feelings together, and I put it in white. But once I played white, I cannot go more bright and I cannot go more dynamic. So white will be very used on the most dynamic parts of my show. And all the rest, I will try to stay in the colors, but change all the time.
Okay.
I don't know if that was precise enough. I don't want to speak like hours about color. If you have some question, I'm really open to it, but that's really how I feel the colors and how I use it. And when I play live, I always try to close my eyes and try to feel and catch the emotion of the tracks or the emotion of the DJs, what he wants to play, what story he wants to tell. And I try to match that with the colors.
Okay. How do you handle intensities?
Intensity for me, same, super easy. I just go, if we go back in 2D plan, like I have my faders 100% or like 0. And there is one very special trick I do with my intensity, is that I try to give them a curve all the time. That's why I have like one master fader that control all the intensity, because music is pumping, especially electronic music is pumping all the time. It's never at the same level. When you look at the musical frequency, you see how it's always moving. And so my lights need to always move too. So they are never at 100% like open all the time, or they are moving all the time too. I have some strobing, some effects into it. I will use like one line after the other, trying to match the BPM. And during the breaks, when I have like some people singing, when I have some nice melodies, I will try to give them a nice curve with the fader. And I'm so disappointed. I don't see a lot of people doing that. Everybody is like 100% or 0%. And it's like,
you don't use much effects, any sort of rolls of intensity through the club, or like a 2-step, 4-step.
The problem I have with effects is the same as the movements, is that when you go in a club, you see the same circle movement and you see the same chase effect going through the lights for 3 hours. And that's super boring. That's why I prefer to try to bring as much emotion and humanity into my lights. And I try to always have a finger on the fader and always try to give some curves. Like instead of making a black on off, I always try to bring in a little bit of curve. And the only way to do that manually is to do it with one finger on a fader. And that helps me to really match the emotion of the music all the time. And if I want to bring in some effects back in the days, I need to move back to my live stream, ZYPER, and go here. So here I have some chaser effects. And if I'm right, they are still working, because sometimes we use chaser. That's fun. And those are intensity chaser, if I'm right. And I have to bring in the speed here. Yeah, so here you can see I don't know if it's still working because we are doing a lot of effects now with dial-loss. Or maybe I cannot. No, I should be able to see it. Yeah, looks like it's broken in the show file. Yeah, so basically for effects, we have some chasers effects here. Give me a clear. Here. Beam chase 1. That should do something. Yeah, so you can see that's one line after the other with a bit of delay. It's not going to 100%. And I can, so this is made based on intensity at 0, so I can always bring in all the lights intensity. It's doing some weird stuff. But yeah, I have some chaser. All I'm doing is, that view was it. All I'm doing is just activate the chase effect and then control the speed. And as I have one master and override, I can still, if I bring this intensity down here, I have my effect running and I can still dimmer it with the master intensity. So even for the chaser, I have a dimmer control and I have a speed control. Let me try, maybe another one is working better. No. Yeah, we complete. I'm not a big fan of effects because for me it's running too much in a circle, in a loop. Lately I tried to remove all this, and replace it with some dial-loss effects. That's why I have a view here for dial-loss, and if I'm right, this is going over everything.
Let's try to have a look at that. Like, you know, dial-loss is fairly new, but it came online at the end of the last year. Just as it, you know, could be used on shows. All the shows and clubs shut down. So, but maybe you can give a overview how you utilize it and like how it, you know, what's a good way to integrate that into your workflow and your style.
So I'm still trying a lot of stuff with dial-loss, and my after party came into dial-loss workshops and trying a lot of new stuff on dial-loss. So basically what we are doing a lot, so if you take the factory folder, you should have access to a lot of our own visuals that will help you to have a lot of very 2D basic effects. Okay. Yeah, okay. So that's why, so I already have a fader to control the speed, if I'm right. Which one is it? I should be able to see it now. That's one of the main feature into dial-loss. First of all, if you never used it, add everything you can, all the parameters, and then just figure out what you want to use and what you don't need, because the guys did an awesome job giving you access to so many different features. You can make your own effects, you can make some shader effect running and everything. But for me, I have a lot of fun and take a lot of time to try things, but when I play live, I want it to be fast. So instead of using pre-made shaders, we're gonna use a lot of effects that we already animated. So that's the basic content that's gonna give you the best of it. And I have some effects here and normally here too. So for example, that's the kind of stuff I like to use. Just one bar going through all my fixture. And then all I want to control on that is the color, because for some beam lights, it's just gonna go on the intensity. But for my wash light, for example, it's gonna affect the colors. And so I can go into colors and just bring out the RGB. No, I think it's an effect. Right, yeah, here it is. So if you go on the effect part, you can bring out colors. So that's why we made a lot of white effects, super basic, because we can then bring them into every color we want, and then we just record it with our effects here. So when I'm gonna push our red, my dial-loss content gonna move to red too for blue, cyan, and every other color. And I don't have it in this show file, but basically what you're gonna see in the future is one line here with dialos white, dialos red, dialos green, and all that kind of stuff. And that gives me the ability to make a lot of content in white, but use it in lots of different colors to have the whole pixel mapping matching perfectly what all the rest of the lights are doing. So that's one of the features I really like, and I use it a lot. And if I'm going back to my player here, I think it's here in the source, I should have some control on the speeds. Yeah, here it was. So this is just in override mode to one of my fader. And so I should go back to 0. Okay, I should put it into still. So let's just record this quickly into my start. And make sure the color. Yeah, that's why I still need a lot of time to work on dialos and try stuff. But once it's programmed, it can be used super quick and super easy. Let me just try this. I'm not sure, Matthias, maybe you can quickly help me on this. Can I record? Now I have to have a video loaded, right? To record, for example, the speed.
That's a good question, actually.
Right, let me do that better. We're gonna just record that video file.
You can select just the sub, it's like 4 point whatever, 0.0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3.
Let me just quickly.
You are actually able to just select that picture with no content.
So now if I clear it, it should stay here, okay? And now I can record. The speed I was on, so it should be that one at 0. And that's where my start that I show you later. So I'm gonna record this into my start at 0. And now my fader should have complete control from 0 to 100. Yeah, that's cool. And then once I have that, that's the main thing. I'm using dialos for now. So it opens so many possibilities, but the quickest way is instead of doing chaser and spending time with the effect generator, making effect groups and everything, I just put a dialos into it. I control the speed, I control the color. And now we are looking with my team, creating content, trying to see what kind of content can be good and make it the most flexible possible. For example, we try to do this. And if I go into effects mode, I should be able to bring this to each line. Like
so you expect that you're actually not going to build much sort of intensity and color things anyway, and just use dialos for everything, really?
Yeah, for sure. From my experience, if it's clubs or festivals or even any corporate room, we have so many new pixels to manage. I mean, like every single event room now has those huge LED strips that takes a lot of channels and where you want to make quick effects. So the effect generator is a good way, but you have so much more control with dialos, and it's a one-way control. You control the intensity, the speed, the effects, shape, and the color all in one super quickly, and you can sync it super easily with any type of video. And from my experience too, any room now has a video panel and has lighting. So for me, lights and visuals, it's no more two different things. For me, it's one same thing. And I ask all my light operator to learn how the VJ software and to learn the pixel and the light and the visual, how it's working, and be able to create some basic shapes like that. And I ask all my VJs and content creator to go into ONYX and see how the their mix is working, because it's connected And how much more we go into the future, into new fixture, it's going to be more and more and more. I mean, like right now, every single new place we open, they have like those LED bars, or they have some LED tubes, and they don't want just to light it on. They want to have every single pixel control. And it takes a lot of time to program, to make groups and everything, when you can just throw dialos over everything and have some amazing effects. And I know I can really see where you, Matthias, and the programming team are going. And I know that NDI input is on the way, and control over like position and a lot of other stuff is on the way too. So that's going to open a brand new way and a brand new door to live programming, to control, and gonna make the flexibility from moving from one place to the other even better and faster. So yeah, for sure, I'm super fan and super excited about Dialos. And yeah, so that's what we try to do. So here we have 4 shapes, and that's why we started to make like custom views just for the beam, for example, where I can control the beams, and then I have another one for, like, for example, the magic panel. So I don't know why I killed that in that show, but let me give you a quick overview. One question, Matthias, is there a way to control for like a wash, like a Mac Aura, just the intensity?
In Dialos?
Yeah.
No, there will be a way. We are adding some more granular controls, what's mapped, what isn't, so you can actually take a fixture out of Dialos control on demand a bit more easier. And you'll be able to eventually be able to control if it's intensity or color that you want. Because right now, when you have like a fixture like that, additive color and intensity, it only works on the only on the color and not on the intensity chart. So that's we'll expand that.
Good to know. I was asking that. I had this question for a long time, and we tried a lot of stuff, and yeah, that's why we came up with like the RGB stuff and everything, because that was for us the best way to control it. Did it create my shape or not? Nah, looks like not. A new one, place zone. Make it like this. Looks like he doesn't want it. Ah, yeah, okay. I'm on the. I don't have the license right now. It's 3 layer, right, for the free license?
2, and
2?
then you can use the rest. It just gets a little nag screen in it as demo.
Oh yeah, it's coming. It's coming. It's okay.
Yeah, it's 5 layers licensed and 2 in the free version.
Because yeah, if I put like the.
But yeah, you're right. Dialos is gonna be where we're gonna put our efforts, because we want to make programming a lot of parameters a lot easier and get away from it being so number focused and so command line based, and provide more sort of creative tools, I guess would be a good way to describe it.
I just love it. I love, on one side, I love new ways of controlling things. And on another side, we are going through so many different software nowadays and plugins, and we can pretty much do everything. But like the lighting world and the visual world and the content creation world, it's still so different, when at the end they pretty much do the same things, and every software has its own layout. And yeah, this whole Dialos and pixel control is opening such a new door to light creating and operating, that it's super exciting. And on the same way, the lighting fixture are getting so complex, like the magic panel. It's without a pixel mapper, you cannot use 50% of the potential they have, or you spend like 3 days programming on it, when you can do the same effects in 5 minutes with a Dialos system.
Well, I think there's definitely things that you cannot do by regular programming that are easy to do and easy to manipulate, and creative way of doing it in Dialos, for sure. Or even if you could program it, it would take you hours, and then you want to make one tiny change and you start all over, and that's
exactly that's where we
think that these kind of mapping tools, I hope they encourage people to be more creative with their lighting rig, and play it more rather than just, okay, here's a cue, here's a cue, here's a cue. Especially for club programming and musical-based programming, I think this is pretty big change, the way people will be able to work.
We are already using or when we have time, because it definitely takes a lot of time right now. It's like the visualizer. When we have a lot of time on a setup, we take some footage from the VJ, and some VJ software can generate DMX now. And so we used, before Dylos, we used that to pixel map some stuff. It was just a hell of a nightmare to make the whole patch again into the VJ software and make an alternate connection. And we needed more as a network device and everything. So we already worked on that. We could feel how amazing it is. It was just a fucking nightmare to use. So
beep.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, right now I'm so sad because when did we get Dylos? I think in January.
Yeah, it released in January. We showed
and we
it,
had like just 1 or 2 weekends to really play with it, and now we are here. So, and at home we don't do the same thing. There's it's definitely something I need to experiment live with it to see how I feel it and how I can use it in the best way. But yeah, make sure, guys. I will try to share more content that kind of type of content soon. I just want to test it on the road a bit more to make sure that what I'm sharing is exactly what you need and is ready to use, and it's not like trying and programming. It's just like you push it in and it's doing exactly what we need.
I guess there's another video coming eventually. It'll be perfect for you.
Yeah.
Once you get your head around this.
Really thinking about it. Do we have some questions?
A few came in.
Yeah. 3D mapping with Dylos. I don't know. I was used to work with 3D mapping software, but it was just a nightmare. It's just too complex. It's even with software that do 3D mapping, it's still easier to make every layer 2D and have a control on that than do some 3D effects, because the software to create all this content nowadays doesn't manage the 3D. You cannot output like a 3D file, and so you're not free to do. The only thing you can do is work with the generator that's inside the software, and you always have limitation with that. So I'm not sure that's a very interesting topic. 3D mapping.
Let's see, we have some ideas.
Yeah? I don't. What kind of image production program do you use to create the awesome Dylos?
That's a good question, actually. What's your go-to program to create visuals?
We use a lot of program, and we try to have an eye on every program. So we use the most used one, like After Effects, to create some content. I know that you, Matthias, you have already some effects inside of Dylos to create this kind of lines. So I'm really looking what I can do inside the software, because that will give me a complete control. If I want to make everything in an other software and export all the videos, if I want just my effects to be a bit more large, or like have, instead of having like one light, like right now having two, I have to render a lot of different files, when I could just control one shader here and have one fader that's going to make it larger or less large, or by 2, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, you just need to check on internet, on Google. You will find a lot of software to create that kind of shapes, even if it's super basic. But I'm really looking forward to what I can do inside the software.
Yeah, well, this is also going to something will expand the creative content plugins, so you can actually do a lot of these neon kind of lines and animated shapes and particle things, stuff that's really useful for like a pixel system. We're going to try to do, you know, as many as possible natively in there, because then you get much more control of it. You can dynamically change these on the fly rather than playing just the video. Exactly.
And I'm still trying, like I for now I added all the parameters of Dylos, but I already started in some auto show files to hide all the parameters I don't need, to make it much more easy to use. So if you guys are a bit lost into all those parameters, you can, if I'm right, you can go into the menu and maybe you can help me on this. Is there a way, Matthias, to hide some of the parameters of a fixture? I know you can do it when you add a fixture in the patch for the first time, but I think there is a way to do it somewhere.
Not really.
Not really?
You can take parameters out that you don't want to see. That's in general.
General.
Top.
Yeah. Parameter groups. Yeah, that's it.
Parameters and just they go out of the controller. So if there's stuff you're never going to use.
Exactly. You can hide it here.
Toss it out. Yeah.
And that's exactly what I need to do with dials, because there is a lot of stuff that is useful, but for my using, I won't use it. So I just need to hide it. Like you have speed control. You have like 10 different speed control. They are all useful, but at the end, I just want one master speed for my use. So I will just remove all the other speeds. And that's going to help my generator to have directly like the speed and the effects I want. But yeah, that's some stuff I'm still trying a lot. I'm still looking what I should record, what I should put on a fader, what I should put in a cue list, and how it can interact live the best. And yeah, sadly right now we don't play live that much. So I'm really waiting to go back to touring, to test all those new ideas I have on the system, and make sure I will make a video for sure once I'm really feeling comfortable with it.
Could you showcase real quick what you have on your MIDI fighter? You have it with you there, right?
Yeah. Here.
What's your main layout there?
What's my main layout here? So that's happened. Let me open a big one. Main playback. Playback buttons, and turn on the colors. And then we go down here. So I have one page just for that, and it's 11. So we use two types of MIDI fighter. This is the small one. That's my favorite one because I can take it in my hands and play with it. And then we have the bigger one. And so we have all colors. So this is basically all red, all green, all blue. And it's going to change all my lights in one color. I have some chases effect. I personally never use them, but I know some guys have them. So I tried. And then basically what I do is I have one button here to close on my shutter, and then I just open different groups of shutters. So here you can see I have my panel, my one half of the beam, one other half of the beam, and the wash. And that's what I'm doing all night. I'm having control on the colors, I'm having control on my movements, and then I just make all the flashing manual. So that's why I don't use any chaser, or not so much, and I don't use any BPM effect because I am the BPM, and I change everything manual. And I spend all my night just making shutter open, shutter close, shutter open, shutter close, and all that kind of stuff. And I always start from the club completely dark, and then I just bring in the lights and the elements I want to make it moving and make it reactive to the music. So that's really, it's super, super basic. It's just like one line here with the shutter open. Then I have the same with the strobe effect on the shutter at 100%, so it's strobing super fast. And then this here, line 1, 2, 3, are my 4 lines of beam, 1, 2, 3. So I can make like the 2 in the center, the 2 outside, 2 in the center, 2 outside, or 1, 2, 3, and that type of effects. And then here I just have like a strobe random and some other chaser effects. But my main use is really this. And that's why I'm using the internal MIDI macros, because I just need this. I don't need much more. Does that answer the question? I hope.
There's no dynamic control on this, right? It doesn't have velocity or anything. The button is just on and off on the fighter.
It's just one cue, shutter on, and in the option it has absolutely nothing. Release time 0, and function is just on the MIDI mapping is just go when I push and release when I release.
What's the other one you use there? So you have Innovation pad?
No more. I have this super tool. Lovely tool. Now, and here I have, if I go back on the view for that one, you see, guys, that's exactly why my whole layout on my own show is like that, because I'm always adding windows and trying stuff and looking. So here I have, so that's what a fader, and then down here I have some buttons. So I have some chaser effects. That's just on and off directly on the M play. And here on the side, I have exactly the same. I'm usually going to bank 5 on the side. No, bank 6. Yes, 6. And so here you can see I have all close, all open, strobe fast, and flash blinder. So that's the buttons here. And basically here I have the same than my MIDI fighter, but on go only. That means that, for example, if I want to make a blackout and I don't want to keep my finger on the button, I just push it here. I make it a go. And on my MIDI fighter, when I press, I'm going to make another go that doesn't make anything because it's a 1 cue. And when I release, it's going to release that cue list. And that's what's on my M play. And basically for doing live, that's all I need. Super basic. Make it as basic as possible, but as open so you can have access to everything you need.
Yeah, actually, your layout is actually surprisingly basic. You have just a lot of things laid out in a way that it's very flexible for you, rather than very complex programming, and then you just go from one very nice book to another one. So there's it's a big difference the way you program.
My programming is super, super quick and basic because I like to play live. I like to create, and I mean, if I don't have music and I don't have the people and everything, I don't have any idea, so I don't know what to program. And I'm not interested at all by the informatic programming part. I do it for some reasons, but in ONYX, I love to play live with ONYX. I don't like to spend 3 hours at the office and programming values and datas, and I just like to have the music, feel the crowd, feel the energy, and play. So that's why I'm using always the same show file, even if it's a bit messy. But if it can save me programming time, I will try to save as much programming time as I can. And I'm doing between 150 and 200 gigs a year. That means that 4 to 5 days a week, I'm playing live. So I don't have time to program at all.
Well, I hope that dialers will help as well, you know, make actually more.
We did, we tried a lot of different stuff. I have this type of effects.
But the same, the stuff you've done with dialers are very basic building blocks. You don't do super complicated things. You focus really on what
for
gets
now. I don't. Yeah, I don't see what I need much more. I want. For lighting it for sure. The cool thing, for the real cool thing for me, for all the corporate events part, is that making color chases effects is something very painful for me because I never do it. So when I have to do a color effect, I'm completely lost because that's the thing I do like 1 or 2 twice in a year. And for that, Dylos is amazing because that's some other visuals we enter just to try. But for example, if I want something like that, like a blue effect that's moving a little bit, I will not be able to do it with the programmer because it will take me 1 hour to program and select the groups and make the blue and the green moving together. Same, but that's personal. When I try to link some effects, like linking some intensity with some tilt, I always need to go on internet and check for tutorials because I do that 1 or twice in a year, and I'm always need to refresh my mind on how it's working exactly. So I try to focus as much on the things I know, and I try to focus as much on the thing I'm doing every week or once or 2 a month, so that it doesn't take me too much time. And Dylos is a time saver for that.
It's only going to get better from here.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun plans, so there's a lot of stuff that's actually in it that's not active right now.
Yeah.
So
can't wait to try it.
Yeah, the team's done really a good job the way it natively integrates with the whole software, so it doesn't feel like alien. It's not this like thing that you launch on the side. It's like totally part of the workflow. That's
what I love. I really, when you first announced it, I was thinking, okay, it's going to be a plugin or something like that, and I'm going to have to run 2 different software. And I really love the way it's all in one. For me, for using it, like it's one software, I'm launching it. For the clients where I install it, They have one single software, and that's why I love ONYX too. Like a lot of places where we install a lighting program, they just run one program and they don't need to open like ONYX and then a MIDI plugin and a show cockpit and an OSC plugin and having everything working together. And the first thing they do, they call me like, hey, Zipper, it didn't wake up the way it should. And it's way more easy for me to install for a client into a fixed stuff where they come in the morning, they open the computer launch one single program and the program does all the job. And we installed like, I think 50 places with ONYX in the last 3 years, and we had no problem, absolutely no problem. No crash, no nothing. And they're running every day for 8-10 hours a day. So that's one part of the software that I love. And plus the fact that I love to work with nice looking stuff, and the whole design you did on ONYX over the years is just amazing. Like all my clients, when I install it, even if I don't do like a MX manager, I just like a lot of installation. We just put some buttons like that. We reduce for just what we need here, layout. So that's super cool too. Some nice feature. Like for example, if I install this in a restaurant and they just want some colors, when they wake up the software, they just have that. If they want to put the lights in red, they push red. And there's no problem. I don't need any other remote software or anything. ONYX alone can do a very good job. So that's a lot of stuff I love into the software. And for me, it's like, it's way more than just a lighting programming software. It's a real tool for DMX. And that's another question. Is there a way to send out OSC right now with ONYX? I think so, no? Because Touch OSC gets some feedback.
We get some stuff
faders.
out. Yeah. Yeah, some stuff comes out.
Some stuff comes out, I think. No? I need to focus a bit on that because I'm sure there's a lot of interesting stuff because we connect a lot of software to ONYX, but I'm sure ONYX can connect in the other way to a lot of solutions.
Yeah.
So, but that's some kind of personal stuff I like to try with.
Excellent.
Looking back at the
running out of time here though. We're going 2.5 hours almost, which is great. I mean, this is really a lot of fun. I've put in a link to your Visionz page in the chat.
Oh, thank you.
As well as to your Facebook. There's a lot of fun videos there. Also check out his YouTube channel if you haven't seen his back then M-series training videos. It's a lot of people start with you. So you're kind of a bit famous, I guess, in this circle.
It was such a pleasure. I mean, the feedback I get on all those videos is amazing. I just made this for fun because I wanted to share the way I'm working. And for me, it surprised me because I'm looking a lot at my own tutorials. When I didn't do like ONYX for 6 months or something like that, I jumped back in my own tutorials like, how did we do that? And yeah, I'm so happy that the response on the M Play and M Touch was so great, and that you guys were able to learn the software and the way to work with it. Like I'm so happy every time I see like screenshots or like picture in the group where I see those colors exactly the way I explained it in my tutorial. I know, okay, I helped someone to not just only understand and use the software, but the way of lighting, the way of working. And I'm sure you all guys make your own show look amazing. So I'm super happy with that, and I hope you still enjoy it. And I hope that the features that are coming in the future will help you to make your show even better.
That's a goal. That's why we do this. We try to give you tools, you know, to help your creativity, and that's really been the focus with Dialers. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's getting late out there in Paris.
No worry. I mean, like,
it's spend the night. Paris in the summer. Can you go out already? Have a cafe?
Yeah, I just had a walk in the afternoon in Paris, and it started to be like you can now work and go to the restaurant without like a reservation or something like that. Normally in 2 weeks they should announce in Paris, France, and France overall that maybe bar and clubs could open again. I hope that we can go back to our normal business in September. let's see. And for now, we are really focused on virtual production. I don't know if you saw that. We build stages in a virtual world. So we're using gaming software for that. And we are able to connect ONYX to some gaming engine, send DMX, and have some lights reacting live. So now I make live streams. I'm playing as a DJ for fun, and I have one of my light operator making lights. I have one of my VJ playing visuals, and we make one live show like that every week. So that's super, super cool.
Okay, great. All right, well, I enjoyed this. It was perfect way to, show an idea how ONYX can be used in a electronic music environment, I guess, mostly. I come from the DJ side too, a long time ago. So
I think we all started with that passion.
And I used to be a light operator, so in a club. So I feel it's just nice to sort of go back to your roots, I guess. And I'm sure if you don't light something for a few months, you're like, it feels.
I'm missing
nice
it so much.
Yeah.
I was going to some clubs this week because like now everything is open in Paris, but the clubs are still closed, and I just make a round to make some backups everywhere. And when I step in the clubs, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm missing that so much. The energy, the people, and I'm completely lost because like usual every Saturday I'm out in the club, I'm working all night, and I have my meetings and all my stuff, and now it's just like do whatever you want every day, and I'm completely lost in my life. And I'm sure a lot of people out there who are usually going to work and everything, even if we still work like as a company, we still have contracts, we're still working on some stuff, the usual way we're doing this, like waking up on the Monday, being completely exhausted and preparing the show during the week and playing them on the weekend and then trying to make them better the week after, is completely gone for now. So
it'll come back.
I hope it will come back.
It does feel odd.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, but I think we're through the worst, so this will go.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope you guys are going fine in wherever you are in the world. We are super lucky here in Europe. It's starting getting better, but yeah, for sure, it's just a bad period. It will go through, and we will come out stronger. And I'm sure, like, I hope that even in July, we in France and Europe will start again making some show and some stuff.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Have a good
night
out there. Thanks.
Thank you to everybody.
If you have questions, you can reach me and Florimond on Facebook really quite easily. And we're going to announce another webinar soon. We'll have a couple of ideas, but I need to secure the right host for this. I like this format a lot where somebody presents the way they work and program. So I think I have a couple of very, very good candidates coming up. So
Can't wait.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And thank you so much.